Republicans are aware that the precedents that this usurpation of presidential power could turn on them at some point?
No.
I mean, a Democrat could get elected.
When you talk to Republicans and you say, would you like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama to have the power to spy on their political opponents without warrants, to detain without charge, to torture, to murder, to rewrite any law, to violate any law, to have complete dictatorial power, they usually stop and think a little bit and they say no, of course. But then you ask, do you support the impeachment of Bush or Cheney? They still say no. And I think because they understand that impeachment is only for Democrats now, and only for saints. Right? Impeachment is for Clinton, impeachment is for Spitzer. The Republicans play offense and the Democrats play defense, and there's no reason for any Republican to doubt that that will continue forever. I don't think a Republican can envision a Democratic president really being aggressive about a Democratic agenda. They might be abusive of power in a Republican sort of way, but somebody with an FDR agenda who's going to abuse power the way Bush and I can't even picture that. So.
Maybe that's what we need, is somebody to do it bad on the other side, and then they both will fall.
Elizabeth?
My question is to you, will you recap for me the process? Is it the Judiciary Committee of the House, the Judiciary Committee of the Senate, have to agree, and then it's the Attorney General?
Well, first the resolution has to come out of the Judiciary
Committee
of the House. Yeah, and then the House, there has to be a 2/3, no, there has to be a majority in the House. And they have the resolution, the articles. And then it goes to the Senate, and there's a trial. And there has to be a 2/3 conviction. And that's why a lot of the Democratic Congress people say, well, we can never get this 2/3 conviction.
In time.
Yeah, or ever. We would never have the votes. But that is just totally disingenuous, because that ignores the fact that, number one, this is a process. Number two, they can't say that now because they don't know what the evidence is. It's like saying the verdict before you have the trial.
Right.
There are Democrats who win against Clinton, there are Republicans who win against Nixon. There's never been a case where it was purely partisan the way they all assume it is now. So you start it and you see where it goes.
Right.
But you have to get a majority in the House, and you can get it through an ad hoc created committee. You can get it through the Judiciary Committee. Whatever the process is, typically the full House sends it to the Judiciary Committee, as it's already done last November with Kucinich's articles, and then the Judiciary Committee passes articles of impeachment, and then the full House votes on them. And if you get a majority, that person has been impeached.
Those guys.
Where do hearings fit into
Right.
that picture, though?
The hearings would start in either any of those committees.
I mean, can they have hearings without starting the articles?
Typically, the Judiciary Committee would announce that they are going to hold impeachment hearings, which they could do any day now, and they could take the articles of impeachment that the full House sent to them in November and act on those, and they could mark it up and take some things out and add some things and investigate what they want to investigate, and they could start that any day.
So hearings can start now.
Right. Wait a second.
Let's have
I have a comment and a question.
If they fail, is there still some more? Procedure.
We're only going to have a couple more questions.
I have a comment and a question. The comment is kind of follow up on talking about the impeachment, and the first question is why impeach Clinton and not impeach Bush? And I kind of think, in my personal opinion, is I think that the effect on impeachment that is on the public right now, because of all the sex scandal impeachments, it doesn't carry the weight with the public that as the impeachments on Nixon carried. And I think the public, just when they hear impeachment, just think about that and it doesn't carry much weight. And that's why I kind of agree with you that we should impeach, but I don't agree with you on how we should go about it. I think we should go about it starting with investigations, because it carries more weight. People are more turned off when they hear impeachment as opposed to, let's start with investigating, and then once they hear the evidence, then it'll just go right into impeachment. and it'll carry more weight. My question was that, to you, thank you for all you coming, by the way, very much. I'm honored to be here in the room with you and hear you speak. But what do your peers think, the people you used to work with, about, are they with you, or what do they say about you? And are there other ones that are on board and doing other stuff active too, and what are they doing?
Well, there are probably some who didn't like me before and they don't like me now, but,
You have a lot of support from some of them?
yeah. In fact, I was an AUSA and an Assistant U.S. Attorney in Minneapolis and in San Jose, and in Minneapolis I still have a lot of friends, including a lot of people who are judges now, and they were Republicans. And they are totally supportive, because people are just horrified at what's been going on. And I've gotten lots of emails from different people, not just in the federal system, but in the state prosecutors' offices, because people who work as a prosecutor normally, I mean, there are some rabid, crazy, vengeful prosecutors, but most of them come at it from the point of view that they want the system to work properly and they want there to be justice. And one of the things that I talked about with people even long before I wrote this book, when Bush would use that term, bring people to justice, in a way that sounded like he went to lynch them, you know, that is really almost a very painful thing for me to hear, and I know a lot of people felt the same way. That's not how the process is supposed to work. So, and you know, in the Department of Justice in Washington, people have been leaving in droves, and actually all around the country at U.S. attorneys' offices. In the Northern District of California, which is San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose, out of 100 of the most experienced AUSAs during the Bush administration, 50 have left.
Are those career people?
Yeah, career people.
Regardless of party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leaves who?
You're next.
I don't know.
I guess I just have a comment and question. Do you feel, with the impeachment thing, do you feel like you're beating your head against a brick wall? In a sense, because, you know, basically everything you've said tonight is that Congress is not functioning properly, our government is not functioning properly, and then to ask or expect impeachment to happen is then to expect Congress and government to function properly. So it's kind of like, but anyway,
Well, the fact that you don't know, that you feel that the outcome that you're looking for is a long shot, to me, is not a reason not to go for it. To me, the only question is there conduct that they've committed that is egregious beyond any description? And the answer is yes. And so therefore, applying the law that we have in this country, what is the answer? The answer is that Congress should begin impeachment. And so, you know, we can't, if every time in life, just in general, you know, you don't think you're going to succeed, that would really cut down your options.
That not very long before Nixon got on the helicopter and left town, the Speaker of the House said impeachment is not on the table. Remember that Congress didn't want to end the occupation of Vietnam, but it did. Remember that very recently, nobody believed the Democrats in the House would dare to stand up and say, no, we won't give you telecom immunity. I mean, nothing worth anything ever looks likely before it happens. It just doesn't work that way.
I had a comment and a question, but the comment, one thing I'd like to point out is Bruce Fine, who's a staunch conservative constitutional scholar, who wrote the articles of impeachment for Clinton, has stated that impeachment is absolutely necessary, and has actually stated that our Congress has rendered itself obsolete, and also the danger of setting precedents. And I've called Congress a lot this past year. I never have before, but ever since the inauguration, I've specifically targeted the House and specifically the Congress office, and perhaps a lot actually lobbied for office. And it's just, I cannot believe what these people say. And it's just so much nonsense excuses. And it's just so easy to make, you know, and they all have their little cat. I think they must prep their staffers, because they all say the same things, it's just all nonsense. But the last conversation I had was Connor's staffer on, 2 days before the 5th anniversary of the War March. I'm in Goleta, I'm kind of maybe moving up here, so I know you guys are great code pink, and I'm really looking forward to hooking up with you. But you know, he said, well, we can't win. And I said, well, you don't fight the battles that you can win. You fight the battles that you need to fight. And I just find that I've never been so disillusioned or disappointed or really seen my fellow Democrat, my party is really, it's just, but the question.
Yeah.
The question, sorry. The question is, how do you recall somebody? How can we recall Pelosi and Feinstein and these people that have let us down, that have betrayed us, who lied to us?
Yeah, you can recall people. I mean, I just took a political science class. You know, you have to get so many votes to have to recall.
In
You
the
know, I
federal?
really don't.
No, in the state,
In there
you can
for
do that.
Until 2012, Feinstein. She's the one that crossed party lines under Casey.
I mentioned the bill for single-payer health coverage. That's John Conyers' bill.
I know.
Every Congress, he introduces it, he holds events to discuss it, he lobbies his fellow Congress members to sign on to it. It's not anything that anybody has ever predicted success on in the next century. Every single Congress member puts themselves out there every day for things that are predicted absolute, guaranteed defeat, right? So this it's just an excuse. It has
They're all
nothing to do with it.
excuses.
It has nothing to do with it.
They're just all excuses. They're all nonsense excuses. And my big fear, and I actually said 2 days before the 15th, I said, you know, the strategy of the party to go after the White House is so a risky strategy. What if you guys don't, you're all putting all your eggs in that one basket, and what if you don't make it?
Do you have a question? She already asked her question. What I was going to say, because we do, people, if you want to sign up and get on an email list and to be able to get together and talk and actually create things to get done, because again, like you're calling phone calls, that's really good, and we need to do action. Adrian?
Just 2 really quick things. I'm on a school board, and when HR 333 was suggested by Dennis Kucinich, I brought this up at the school board meeting, which is televised, that I felt, because I took an oath of office to defend and protect the Constitution, I publicly said I support this. The rest of the board said they're very quiet, and they're all Democrats. And one of them later told me that was his like worst moment of the year, because I brought up this very partisan thing in our non-partisan school board. But, you know, I'm going to keep speaking up about this when I can, you know. But and the other thing is, when Winter Soldier was on, Iraq Veterans Against the War, you know, my husband, Robert, here, taped 16 hours of this, and I called KCET, KSBY, the Tribune, you know, any media, you know, all these, and they all had excuses about why they were going to report on it, or they just didn't answer their phones. But we have 16 hours of tape, DVD, I should say. And if anybody wants copies of those, I mean, I'm offering this to my custodian at my school where I'm a teacher, and we're going to show Winter Soldier hearings through Amnesty International Club. I'm an advisor at the Royal Grandy High School, if I can get the principal to okay it. Every lunch for a week, so the kids can see that. And when people support their troops, they need to listen to their voices, you know, when they come back. That's one way they can show support, is to listen to these stories that are horrendous. So if anybody wanted copies of those to pass out to your friends, you know, they are extremely powerful.
Can I just say those are both very, very good things, but on the first point of the partisanship of impeachment, and there are nonprofit groups across the country that won't work on impeachment because their lawyers say you can't do electoral partisan stuff. Get a better lawyer. It's absolutely false. The Constitution gives us impeachment. It doesn't mention political parties. The people who wrote it were horrified of parties having any power in our government. So there's absolutely nothing. We don't have a party that supports impeachment. How can it be partisan, right? So it simply isn't. You know, tell them.
That's what I said too, and I'll keep saying that. I agree. I agree. Thanks for that.
One last question.
One comment. One thing that you could do, I get solicitations from the Democrats, ACLU and stuff. I just write on there, you know, you'll get my money when you impeach this guy. And I send it back to them.
Very good advice.
Is there any place that you guys, or the next thing you're doing that you would like to, May 1st, we got that. Anything else that comes to the people?
They're in Oakland tomorrow night, right? If you have friends in Oakland.
If you want to drive up to Oakland.
Tell your friends in Oakland they're there.
Where are we going to be tomorrow?
Dan Ellsberg, Cindy Sheehan, Shirley Golub, Norman Solomon, both of us. Okay, Elizabeth's gonna slack off, but 12 great speakers, 7 p.m., Grand Theater, Oakland.
Wow.
Tomorrow.
And as a sidebar, there's a progressive Democrats and that word Democrat. If you want to get involved, we need people to sign up there so we can keep a progressive group alive because actually we can make a difference inside the party. But if we don't have that club, we can't really speak up. So we need club members. And the kind of club I want to see is a club that does things like this and that gets out and does things in the community. And I think that Greens and everybody else will enjoy coming to Democratic things too. Please also remember Earth Day for San Luis Obispo County is this coming Saturday, Supervision Plaza.
Code Pink Cakewalk. Yeah, Cakewalk, Saturday.
Thank you, everybody.
Earth Day.